Hey everyone, and welcome back to the pack. This is Rogue Underdog Duelist with another
Yu-Gi-Oh! Video!
Today we're going to be bringing you my version of DDD, the Different Dimension Daemon deck. As always, don't forget to
subscribe.
And if you would, be sure and
Attack
that thumbs up button. And now, without further ado, dive right into the deck profile. As you probably already noticed, we are running a Rainbow Dark Dragon in this deck. The reason we got this in here is because you can special summon this from your hand by banishing 7 dark monsters with different names from your grave. And this deck is very good about getting your dark monsters in grave, and you will get 7 in there very quickly. Also, you can banish all other dark monsters from your side of the field and graveyard to give this card 500 additional attack for each card banished, and it already starts out at 4,000, so it's a giant beat stick. If worse comes to worse and you play through all your resources, you got a fat graveyard full of dark monsters, and you can get a few more on field, but maybe they won't make a difference. Well, Rainbow Dark Dragon, that's how you can make all the difference. Beef it up, bring it out, and beat them down. Also running one Dark Arm Dragon in the deck because it can be special summoned from your hand by having exactly 3 dark monsters in your graveyard. And you can banish a dark monster from your graveyard to destroy any target 1 card on the field. So, yeah. Well, just some additional bosses to play off the darkness that we're running in this deck. Also running one DD Night Owl to get into our DD engine. Also running one DD Vice Typhoon. Vice Typhoon helps us from the graveyard. You can fusion summon one level 8 or higher DDD fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from the graveyard, as long as you include this card. It's basically another Necro Slime. It's just a higher level, so we can go get into other fusion plays if you need a level 5 or higher. So DD Vice Typhoon for some graveyard fusion. And speaking of Necro Slime, we are running triple DD Necro Slime to ensure we get some graveyard fusions going off. And if you don't know what this one does, it's the same effect. You banish fusion materials listed on it from the graveyard, including this card, to fusion summon a DDD fusion monster from the extra deck. And continuing on, we are running triple DD Swirl Slime for our fusion plays from the hand. Okay? You use monsters from your hand as fusion materials, including this card. This one also has a graveyard ability to banish it from the graveyard to special summon any 1 DD monster from your hand. So, it's kind of a little bit how those have some synergy there. Also running one DD Ghost. If this card is banished, if you use this for one of your graveyard plays, right? You use Necro Slime. Sorry, that's Swirl Slime. You use Necro Slime or the Vice Typhoon with DD Ghost. They get banished to Fusion Summon, right? Well, then you can trigger your DD Ghost, because then it was banished. To target one of your banished DD monsters and return it to the graveyard. So there's a lot of graveyard with DD Ghost. That's the best way I can describe it. Also running one DD Savant Newton to start getting into our Pendulum engine with our high scale. Alright. Other than that, we mainly just use it as a scale. You also have the option to discard this card from your hand and target a DD or Dark Contract in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So it's, again, that's another reason we don't need DD Ghost too much, but at the same time, DD Ghost can set up the graveyard for Newton to be discarded, and you add whatever you threw in your graveyard to your hand. So, if I did do anything, if I was to up Ghost, I would up Newton. If I was to increase the number of Newton, I would increase the number of Ghosts, because these two kind of go hand in hand. But in this particular build, just we're doing one of each, because I'm not really focused too much on graveyard to hand and graveyard set up too much. We're trying to get our fusion plays and other stuff going on, but there's so many different DDD deck builds with different variations and ratios out there. I'm sure there's one that would work with 2 to 3 Newton and 2 to 3 Ghost. But this one, it works just fine with the ratios I've got. Also running triple DD Savant Kepler. It's our searcher for the deck. Go for our dark contracts. Also, if you normal summon this, you can target a DD card you control, return it to the hand, or add a dark contract from your deck to your hand. If it's normal summon, that's the search. It's also a high scale. We do sometimes, that does come up. We use it at its high scale and pendulum. And once turned during your standby phase, you can reduce its scale by 2, and then destroy all monsters you control with a level greater or equal to this card's pendulum scale. Now that can actually come in handy eventually under very, very strict backed into a corner circumstances. If the only thing left is a graveyard play, but you have nothing in, you're missing a piece engraved, like say Necro Slime's engraved plus something. Well, you can use it. That'll actually benefit you, because then you can destroy what's on the field to send it to grave to be able to get your graveyard fusion. So, again, more than one way to use these, and more than one direction to go with them. Also running for our low scale, 1 DD Savant Copernicus for our low scale for our pendulum summoning. Also, one time period while this is in your pendulum zone, you can negate an activated spell effect that will inflict damage to you. So that's another reason why there's only one of each of those. You got a high scale, you got a low scale, and they, for the most part, focus in the pendulum zone on protecting you from infliction damage against burn decks. This one's got the discard ability. This one says, Copernicus says, if it's normal or special summoned, you can send a DD or dark contract card from your deck to the graveyard. Again, it does the same thing that Ghost does. So we have other monsters that do the exact same thing. That's why I just don't see the point in duplicating the same effect on one monster when you can duplicate the same effect by using different monsters, and you get a variety. You get different levels, you get different scales, different additional abilities on top of the same graveyard setup ability. Like Copernicus is another Necro Slime, or no, sorry, not Necro Slime. Copernicus is basically another extension of Ghost. So it's just a pendulum version. But yeah, if it's normal or special summon, you can send a DD or dark contract card from your deck to the graveyard, and then you can use Newton to add it to your hand. So that's 2 cards already that work with Newton. Almost like running 2 copies of Ghost or 2 copies of Copernicus, but the way I did it, it's a little different. Same, but different. Hope you're following me on that, okay? So, yeah. That's for our low scale. Also got for our big high level, low scale, DDD Destiny King Zero Laplace. And I've been actually debating on possibly bumping that up to a 2 of, maybe even a 3 of. So I really, really like the effects on this card. During your main phase, you can add 1 face-up DDD Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. Awesome. Awesome. Any DDD Pendulum monster that goes to the extra deck face-up, you can add it back to your hand with this guy. Fantastic right there. There's some recycle for you. This can be special summoned from your hand by attributing 1 DDD monster. How awesome is that, right? Before damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can activate this effect. Its attack becomes double that monster's original attack until the end of the damage step. If this card attacks a defense monster, it also pierces. And the first time this card will be destroyed by battle each turn, it's not destroyed. And you take no battle damage from that battle. So, I mean, can't die by battle at least once. You take no damage from the battle. You can double your, double the original attack of a monster. Go up against the Blue Eyes, it'll be 6,000. You know. So, moving along, it's a really great card. I just right now I'm experimenting, playing around with it as a one-of, just to really test its potential, see if it's really worth putting a second one in or not. But so far, one's been pretty amazing. Moving along to more of our low-scale DDDs, high-level, low-scale. DDD Destiny King. We like to special summon this through pendulum summoning to be able to target a DDD monster in the graveyard that we used for, say, fusion summon, to put it there, or maybe some Copernicus or Ghost setup to put it in there, and special summon it straight to the field. So say you use DDD Destiny King as fusion material, you pendulum summon this, it's special summoned, then you can target your DDD monster in the grave and special summon this guy. So that's another way to get around even having to tribute a DDD monster. Pendulum summon your Oblivion King to special summon your Destiny King after you went through a fusion play. Set your scales, do your fusion, pendulum summon this guy, special summon this guy, then you'll have a fusion monster plus an Oblivion King and a Destiny King on the board. It's a nice little pendulum summoning combo there for you. And also, if your Oblivion King also has a once per turn, you can tribute one other DD monster to target one monster your opponent controls and banish it. It's a target, but it targets and banishes. Also running triple DDD Chaos King Apocalypse. So we got King Abyss, King Zero, and King Apocalypse. And the reason I would go triple on this guy and only so many on the others is this one I really like a lot, because you can banish any 2 DD monsters from your graveyard to special summon this card from your pendulum zone. So you set it in the scale, you got 2 DDs in the graveyard, banish them and special summon. Okay. Also, during your opponent's turn, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target 2 face-up dark contracts or any 2 face-up spell or traps, for that matter, that you control. However, you can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except fiends. It does lock you into fiends. But anyway, you can target any 2 face-up spell or traps you control, which in this particular deck it will be the dark contracts, and destroy those. And if you do, special summon this card. So it gets you out of having to pay. You use those dark contracts, do their abilities, and then you destroy them to summon this guy. That way they're not sitting on the field burning your life points every standby phase. It's one way around it. And it gets another, good sized beater on board. And if you do, you special summon this card. And it is a quick effect, so you can also do that during your opponent's turn, because this is a quick effect summon. So you can do your spell things, end your turn, your opponent starts making their plays, you pop those as an interruption and summon this guy. Boom. So it is a once per turn, however. Moving along, we're running 1 Chronograph Sorcerer just to help get some of these big high levels on board. If anything gets destroyed. In fact, it straight up says if a card or cards you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this and special summon a monster from your hand. So your Chaos King Apocalypse actually triggers your Chronograph Sorcerer when it destroys those face-up spell or traps. So it destroys the face-up spell or traps, special summons itself. Then you special summon your Chronograph Sorcerer, which will then special summon another monster from your hand. This deck can literally swarm the field. I mean, they wipe your board, you're gonna fill it right back up again. It's very, very resilient. Also running 1 DD Orthos to get into more of our tuner engine. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this back to the top here, just so everyone kind of keeps track of the tuners. So 1 DD Orthros, low scale tuner. I don't really use his effect, but his ability is once per turn you can target a spell or trap on the field and one other DD or dark contract you control and destroy them. So you can destroy a dark contract or a DD monster you control to destroy a spell or trap card on the field. So I mean, he can get rid of your dark contracts, or he can get rid of your opponent's spell or traps on the field, because it doesn't specify if they have to be face up or not. But it's there for some removal. it's never really came up. I use him as a tuner in a low scale. That's pretty much it. And the level for synchro plays. He's a tuner, he's a level, he's a scale. That's main things. But when you take battle or effect damage, any kind of damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. So it's an easy tuner to tutor out on the field. And if it's special summoned to your field, you are locked into fiends. So if this gets special summoned, by its effect, you're locked into only synchro summoning fiends if you plan on going into a synchro play with it. But yeah, because you get locked into fiends if it does. So anyhow, and that's if it's special summoned. So mainly I would just normal summon it to use it as a tuner. Also, moving along, more tuners running triple Lamia. These are all the tuners. We got the DD Orthros, triple Lamia, and a DD Ghost for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tuners in the deck to get plenty and plenty of synchro plays off. And what Lamia does is if it's in your hand or grave, you can send a DD or Dark Contract card from your hand or face up from the field to the graveyard. So you can send a Dark Contract from your hand or from the field to special summon this card, but it gets banishment, leaves the field. So technically, with that ability, being able to special summon itself back or from the grave, or special summon from the hand, but I mainly use it to get it back from the graveyard, unless I'm really pushing for a additional extender play, which doesn't happen very often because we set the scales to level 1. It's a free summon anyway. So with that said, technically running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tuners in the deck. So plenty of tunering, if you know what I'm getting at. And that's all for the monsters. Now on to the spells. We'll start off by running triple Dark Contract with the Gate for the first of our Dark Contracts. Running, Gate searches your DD monsters. You can add a DD monster from your deck to your hand. Okay. And running double Swamp King was a triple, but just found out the third one really wasn't needed. Because we got Swirl Slime, we got Necro Slime, we got Swirl Slime, Necro Slime, and Typhoon. These are all fusion, basically, polymerizations. So yeah, we only running 2 Swamp Kings. It helps you, it gets you into your fusion plays during your main phase. You can fusion summon a Fiend-type fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as materials. So, if summoning a DD fusion monster this way, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as fusion material. So keep that in mind. And also banish from the grave. So it is literally a Swirl Slime and a Necro Slime all in one card. That's why we only need 2. I mean, that's more than enough. And that's it for the Dark Contract spells. Now to ensure we get into some extra interruption and more plays, also we are running double Super Poly to get out the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon amongst other things. Running 1 for 1. 1 called by the grave because it's down to 1 now. 1 Foolish Burial. Again, another reason why we really don't need all the ghosts, DD ghosts in this. We have more than enough ways to set up our grave. More than enough. We overclogged graveyard setup. We're just going to be dumping our deck in the grave and then be out of resources. But anyways, also running 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Upstart Goblin, which I have actually been debating about swapping Upstart Goblin for an Evil Mind, because you can draw 1 card on either one of these. Either one of these allow you to draw a card. The difference is, Evil Mind, you can draw a card, or you can add a fusion spell from your deck to your hand. If you control a fiend-type monster, and based on the number of monsters in your opponent's graveyard. Versus drawing a card and giving your opponent 1,000 life points. I don't really like doing anything that helps my opponent. So, either one is good. Sticking with the Upstart Goblin for right now, but probably gonna swap out for an Evil Mind. Possibly. Kind of leaning in that direction. And that's all for the spells. We were running Evil Mind in here, that's why I took it out. But, yeah. If I was to slip it in, I'd be taking out the Upstart. On to the traps. Starting with our Dark Contract with the Witch. Just running one Dark Contract with the Witch. And double Infinite Impermanence for some negation power. Alright. What the Dark Contract with the Witch does, if you're not familiar with this card, it says you can send a DD or Dark Contract card from your hand to the grave. Man, a lot of graveyard setup, right? That's why I don't duplicate. Run multiples of those. There's so many different ones that have the same effect. By having a variety, you give yourself more options. Anyways, if you send a DD or Dark Contract card from your hand to the graveyard, you get to target any card on the field and destroy it. A lot of what this deck does is target. So anything that says it can't be targeted by card effects, this deck's gonna struggle against stuff like that. But as long as you can target with a card effect, this deck's gonna go nuts. And this is a once per turn. So you can send one DD or Dark Contract card from your hand to the grave to destroy one card on the field. To target and destroy. Also, once per turn, each standby phase, all Fiend type monsters you control gain 1,000 attack during your opponent's turn only. So during your opponent's turn, all your DD monsters, all your fiends, all your fiend type monsters go up by 1,000. So just think of a fiend type deck. That'll boost them by 1,000 right there. However, during your standby phase, you take 1,000 damage. So it's also where the being able to destroy your own spells and traps comes in very handy. So, and that is all for the main deck. Now on to the extra deck. Running one DD Abyss King Gilgamesh. Might possibly actually raise that up to a... Been kind of debating on bumping that up to a 2. Might even bump it up to a 3, just because if this card is special summon, place 2 DD Pendulum monsters of different names from your deck in your Pendulum zones. So being able to go into this guy guarantees that you're gonna have scales. So, but you do take 1,000 damage every time you use his ability. If this link summon card is destroyed by battle with your opponent's monster or by an opponent's card effect, so by battle or card effect, well, it's in its owner's zone. So as long as you control it, they don't like use Crackdown or something like that. You can special summon one DD monster from your extra deck or graveyard in defense. So it's another thing. It digs into the extra deck, it sets your scales. So yeah, been really considering bumping that up to a 2, maybe even a 3 of, just because of for that right there. So, and that is literally the only link we're running. So there is space to run an extra one or not. And for our fusion monsters, we're running one Flame King Genghis, one Oracle King Diark, one Dragonbane King Beowulf to basically board wipe spells and traps, destroy all cards in the spell and trap zones during your standby phase. Can come in handy, especially depending on what's on board. If you need to get over something, if they got there can only be one on field, so this is the only monster you can have, well then activate its effect, get rid of there can only be one, and continue to go off with your plays. Also running a Flame High King Genghis, a DDD Wave Oblivion King Caesar Ragnarok, because once per turn when an attack is declared involving this card, you can target one other DD or Dark Contract you control, bounce it back to the hand. So that's an alternative way. So if you don't want to destroy your Dark Contracts, you want to use them on your next turn, but you don't want to have to pay the cost, bring this guy out as soon as possible, because once per turn when an attack is declared involving him, you can bounce your Dark Contract back to your hand, So it's safe and sound, not having to pay the cost. And then, if you do that, you can equip one face-up monster your opponent controls to this card. What is that? Oh yeah, Dragoons? Red Eyes Dragoons? Let's equip it to this card. As long as you're not equipping the one you're attacking. You cannot equip the one you're attacking. You gotta attack something other than what you want to equip. That's the thing. You can equip one face-up monster your opponent controls to it, except the one you're battling. Again, this card also gains attack equal to the combined original attack of the monster equipped to it. So 3,200 plus whatever you steal. I love this card. I literally revolve most of my plays around Oblivion King, Caesar Ragnarok, because it makes it to where you can use your dark contracts without having to worry about paying life points. Oracle King, right there, you gain instead of lose, so you gain life points from your dark contracts instead of losing it with Oracle King. So these two right here work really good. Oblivion King and Oracle King are your safe zones for your dark contracts. So you don't have to be afraid to use them. Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be paying all these life points. No, not the case. We got more than one way to get them off the field. And since we're running double Super Poly, we're running double Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. And since we're running, I lost count of, what was that, 9 tuners, I think, or 8 or 9 tuners, something crazy like that. We're running one DDD Gust King Alexander. All right. One DDD Curse King Siegfried. We're also running a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. A Supreme King Dragon Clearwing to clear the field. And to finish off the DDD Synchros, we got DDD Gust High King Alexander. If any of you have kept track of how many times I've said DDD in this video, let me know in the comment section below, because I feel like I've said DDD at least like 100 times by now. Surprised I haven't stuttered on the DDD yet. And anyways, moving on, that's all for the Synchros. We do have an Xyz package in this deck. Running a DDD Duodon King Kali Yuga and a DDD Super Doom King Dark Armageddon. I really like these Xyz monsters that are scales, because they usually have an ability that says if this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place this card in your pendulum zone. So yeah, how awesome is that? Got a low scale extra deck monster right there. So used to run a high scale in here. I believe we took that out though. I think it was a fusion. Yeah, it was a fusion. Yeah, we took that out. We got plenty of high scales with Kepler and whatnot. But anyhow, if this is in your scale once per turn, if you have a DD card in your other pendulum zone, you can special, which you will, you can special summon one DDD Xyz monster from your extra deck, except DDD Super Doom King Dark Armageddon. So you can bring when you get 2 level 8 DDD monsters on the board, you can Xyz them into Super Doom King Dark Armageddon. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry about that. And then, when this card is Xyz summoned, you can attach a face-up DD Pendulum monster from your extra deck to it. So you would attach this to it as material. And then, pendulum monsters you control cannot be destroyed. So your scales are there and they can't get rid of them unless they get rid of this. And once per turn, you can detach material from this card, which would be this, or one of the level 8s you use to bring it out, and target monsters your opponent controls equal to the number of pendulum monsters you control. Destroy them. So more removal. It's also more target and remove. So again, like I said, everything with this deck targets. Most of it anyway. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place it in the pendulum zone, like we said before. Now, if you go to the other route and bring this one out, it says after this one's Xyz summoned, for the rest of the turn, other cards and their effects cannot be activated on the field. And other cards' effects on the field are negated. Cards. So, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it sounds to me like this is Xyz summoned for the rest of the turn that it came out. Other cards and their effects cannot be activated, and, okay, we got the activated part, but it also says, and other cards' effects on the field are negated. So, if I'm reading that right, and it sounds to me like you bring this out during the turn you brought it out. If they had Mystic Mine, or there can only be one, or Messenger of Peace, or anything like that that's preventing you to do something because it's on the field and has an effect, this shuts it down for that turn. You bring this out, you can do it. You can do your thing. So here's an interesting concept for you. You Xyz summon that to the field, right? You negate all the card effects on the field, right? Nothing can be activated. It's all negated. And then let's say one of the pendulum monsters you got in your zone is DD Orthos. Okay? Check this out. I'm going to slide all this to the side because that is all for the extra deck. I just want to talk about this right here. Okay? So you got this in your scale. You bring Duodong King Kali Yuga out to the field, okay? For the rest of this turn, other cards and their effects cannot be activated. I do believe that would shut down your own Pendulum Monster's effect. I do believe, because it says other cards and their effects cannot be activated on the field. So that's kind of like a board negation. Alright? So you wouldn't be able to use like your Pendulum Monster's effect, because it shuts it all off for the turn. But it is a nice card to get around over stuff like a Mystic Mine and whatnot. You bring it out, everything's negated. Period. Hands down, everything on the field is negated except for this, because it says all other. So it doesn't negate itself. It negates everything else but itself. But you can also detach one Xyz material from this card, destroy all spells and traps on the field. So yeah, that'll get rid of Mystic Mine, that'll get rid of all those problematic spells and traps that are out there just being a pain in your butt. Bring it out, you negate everything, then you destroy all the spells and traps. And it's a 3,500 beater. So, and you can also detach an Xyz material from this card to target a dark contract spell or trap in your grave and set it to the field. So, again with the graveyard recycle. Alright. So, yeah. And that is all for the DDD Different Dimension Demon deck.
Welcome to the end phase.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to
Attack!
that thumbs up button. And
Subscribe.
And activate that bell so you don't miss any Underdog notifications.
this is Rogue Underdog Duelist, signing off. It's your move.